In the first few overs, everything seems normal. Predictable bounce, predictable swing, everything is predictable. So when things are predictable, you can pattern it, right? You can write an algorithm for it. In technology, you call it an algorithm. In business, you call it strategy. When you have predictability, you can model. When you can model, you can create a plan. What happens 10 overs later? One ball shoots right down like a rocket. Another one goes 10 feet up. Another one breaks somebody's jaw. Another one just comes slow off the pitch. It's an unpredictable pitch, right? What do you do in an unpredictable pitch? Can you have a strategy? Can you?
Yes.
You can't. You can't have a strategy. What you can have is the following. Number one, the power that comes out of recognizing that it's an unpredictable pitch. That's the first weapon you have. The second weapon you have is good eyesight and good reflexes, so that you see the problem before it becomes a crisis. And the third weapon you have is adaptability. The ability to adapt in the last minute and align yourself. So should you need a strategy? Of course you need a strategy to succeed. But it's a strategy that has a very short time life. It probably changes ball to ball, over to over. That's the best way to describe this industry today. If somebody tells you they have a clear answer where this industry is headed, I believe they're telling a lie. Because most guys heading big companies that I meet, whether it's T-Mobile or it's Orange or it's Samsung or it's Nokia, don't have a clue. Of course, they can't tell their people that. They can't tell their shareholders that. They can't tell the market that. But the truth of the matter is, that's what it is. It's a phase. A phase of chaos before there is order. Therefore, my next many minutes is going to be spent in provoking your thought, in provoking your thinking, and come to understand and embrace in a very humble way that success lies in the confluence of a deep understanding of technology at one end, an understanding of good business dynamics at the other end, and a very good understanding of your customer. When you can find the sweet spot that puts these three things together, you will have a successful business, I believe. So my objective of the next many minutes is to provoke your thinking, is to challenge your thought process, is to be able to take some sacred cows that you have in your mind and have the courage to break them, explode them. My grandfather was a farmer. He couldn't speak English too well. In whatever colloquial language he spoke, he told me that, when he was advising me, what do you make of your career? He said, you know what, don't make a career of finding out answers, because there are too many people in the world who know answers. Make a career out of asking questions, because that's the difficult part. Because at the end of the day, my friends, the answers you and I seek will largely lie in the questions we ask. And therefore the purpose of this next 25 minutes is not to provide you answers, because if there had been answers, we wouldn't have a conference, because none of us would have time, because you'd be busy executing the answers, right? The purpose of this is to provoke your thinking. The purpose of this is to give you a global perspective of what is happening in this industry. It's to challenge the very part whether the word mobile app is itself relevant, or should we take the mobile away? Because mobile app was supposed to be applications created for small devices that you would carry around. So what happens when your mobile gets connected to your television and you need to have seamless consumption of content? What do you call it then?
Streaming.
Pardon me?
Streaming? Live streaming?
No, you got to call it something, right? You got to call it an app. What app? There's a mobile app 5 minutes ago, it's an iPad app 5 minutes later, it's a television app 25 minutes later, and then God knows what. So a whole bunch of things need to be questioned. A lot of things need to be thought. Therefore, hopefully at the end of this presentation, I would leave your idealism intact, because that is the germinating ground for great ideas. But I would like to supplant it with a sense of realism somewhere, and a sense of empowerment that comes from understanding the dynamics of a very complex market space. Because the truth is that when the world is going through an innovative phase like it did way back in 2000, 2001 in the dot-com era, there were many dreams that were born. There were many dreams that perished. But then there were many heroes that came out of that boom, right? This is going to have the same thing, whether we like it or not. There are going to be many of us that are going to be dead. With fond memories. There are many of ideas that are going to see the light of day but don't make us enough money. And hopefully, there's going to be some people here. There are going to be people that we'll see on the covers of Fortune, hopefully. Yes? Like that thought? Can you live with that? Yes? Good. So what's changing paradigms in the mobile space? The first part is, I think we need to start understanding this is changing market dynamics. And I'll try to share as much information as I can, because sometimes I walk around in my head with privy to information as to what are the deep strategies of most of the companies that you see on posters around this place. So I'll try not to break customer confidentiality and confidence they place in me when they share that, but I'll try to give you as much as I can. I think if you look at the evolution of the device, that's the first dimension of evolution. You have to understand that in this market there is a supply side, there is a demand side. Everybody sitting here is the supply side. When you take off our badges and go out home and log into the OV store, you come to the demand side. So on the supply side, the changes are, one, there's a disproportionate growth rate. Industry has not seen the levels of growth in devices. Not even the PC industry saw this growth. Number two is, I think there's a whole redefinition of the smartphone. How many of you would have even imagined that you would go to a nightclub in New York or a nightclub in Mumbai or Delhi and you would see a 16 or 17-year-old carrying a BlackBerry? Because BlackBerry, when I showed it to my daughters first, they told me, "Dad, you're growing old." That's the first sign. You're carrying a BlackBerry. It's good for you. And today, BlackBerry is as much a fashion statement for a teenager as it is for an enterprise client. Am I right? Yes? iPhone doesn't conform at all to the old definition of what a smartphone is. It's a vertical platform. It is not a real-time, it's not an open OS. It does not have heuristic multi-threading capabilities, but it's a smartphone. Many of you have seen, this new advertisements of Aircel releasing this phone called Ink, right? INQ. Yeah? I've had the privilege of being part of that thinking company for a long time as a prospective customer for my company. So great interesting sitting down and talking to those guys and understanding how they look at Ink, how they look at that phone, for example. And the guy who started that company said, my positioning is, you know, I'm here to build a smartphone that does not require smart people to use. That's how I'm going to position my product. And when he started the company, he said, I have 3 target customers in mind. Target customer number 1 is my 3-year-old son. Because he refuses to use any other phone to play his games other than iPhone. So if I can create a product that's as simple to use as an iPhone, I've got a winning proposition. My second customer in mind is my wife. She's a journalist. She does a lot of research on the web. But she believes that using web on the mobile device is a non-starter. You can't do multi-windows. You can't do it. So if I can find a phone that can solve that problem, that'd be great. And this third was a 17-year-old girl, he says he met in a New York nightclub, whose search was not global. The search was on that strip of New York, where she wants to know where her friends are partying compared to where she is, so she can walk over or take a taxi right over there. It's a search in real time. If you go look at the device closely, you'll see these 3 ideas as part of the device, for example. The definition of smartphone has changed. It'll change more. And then there's this big problem of expanding definition of a mobile device. What is a mobile device? Is GPS a mobile device? What if I put a radio in the GPS? Is iPad a mobile device? What do you think? What do you think, guys? Is iPad a mobile device? Yes? No?
Yes.
Yes? You believe so? Well, I go talk to the guys at Apple and I say, hey man, how's the iPad coming up?